Hello everybody, Crazy Girl / Quiet Kitties here. Always have an identity crisis. Right now, I'm here to recognize Rina for being awesome because this illustration was made off of her Draw This in Your Art Style challenge she made a while ago. I drew this a while ago too. This was drawn months ago. But yeah, without her, this drawing would never exist because Rina is awesome. This is her character. She created the Draw This in Your Art Style challenge. I think it's a continuous forever Draw This in Your Art Style challenge. Read the description. But I'm gonna link her Instagram page and everything and show you a picture of her Instagram right now. She also has a Twitter, a YouTube channel that makes great speed paints. Please go follow her before you watch this video. So yeah, I just wanted to mention this because I think it's important to mention how awesome she is. Okay, let's get into the video. Hello everybody, Crazy Girl / Quiet Kitties here. Always have an identity crisis. Today, I am talking about original Tokyo Mew Mew. So I didn't really grow up with Tokyo Mew Mew. I just kind of knew about it because the people I watched Tokyo Mew Mew and they loved it. And yeah, I've always been interested because I like magical girl shows, you can tell. Yeah, so I wanted to check it out for myself. I think I started watching it back like, how many ever months ago again? I cannot remember. So I think Tokyo Mew Mew on a personal level is okay. It's not groundbreaking or anything like that, but it's still fun to watch. It's really fun. I like it. I love the art. I mean, not necessarily the animation in the show, but I just love the designs. And sometimes the animation can look kind of pretty, like when it's intended to look like nice, you can tell. But like a lot of times the animation just like drops, and like whenever it drops, it looks really bad. And it looks bad. Like some of the crazy bug eyes and like, I don't know, like it gets pretty, but then sometimes the animation just like bugs out. So I'm really excited to talk about each and every character. Okay, so before I fully go into the characters, Tokyo Mew Mew actually names their characters off of food. So the main character is Ichigo, strawberry. Another example would be Retatsu, which means lettuce in Japanese. So yeah, their names are basically food names. Bu-Ling is pudding in Chinese. So basically they're just food names. I found it kind of interesting whenever they did that. Because I realized it pretty quick and I was like, wait, that isn't right. So, yeah, the names are pretty interesting. Every single character is basically named off of food. Except for the romantic interest, I'm pretty sure. And the two other important characters I'm going to talk about later that are guys. So, yeah, let's actually get into the chop. I've been talking for like 2 minutes and I don't like making long intros, but I'm technically talking about the video. So, yeah, I guess I'm not off topic. Okay, so our main character is Ichigo Momiya. I probably butchered her last name. But she is Mew Strawberry, the main Mew. She is derived from a cat. I can't remember which cat. I think she's an Iramote cat. I think I'm messing up the pronunciation, but that's what she is. In Tokyo Mew Mew, I kind of forgot to mention this. All the characters are based off of endangered animals. I'll go through each animal on each character section. Yeah, but that's just something to mention, just so I won't forget to mention it. So, Ichigo is nice and happy-go-lucky, but I also kind of feel bad for her because she was pushed to be a Mew Mew. So, one of the main guys who started the plot, he's obviously gonna have a whole section to himself later. He's really important. Chiogane Ru, he basically introduced her to the whole Mew Mew thing because it's a whole shebang on the first episode where she doesn't know she's becoming Mew Mew. They go to like this museum or whatever. Ichigo and her, at the time, not boyfriend, but her love interest, Ayama, he's got a section later too, and things just happen. And that's how we get our first Mew Mew. She gets forced into labor. I'm playing. That sounds messed up. I mean, kind of true. She works at this Mew Mew cafe. I'll remember the name later. Yeah, she makes sweets and stuff. Or she doesn't make the sweets. She's the waitress there. And everybody pushes their work onto her. I feel bad for her. And also for cat jokes. And, yeah, Japan likes cats. I love cats too. I love cat girls. But she's the only Mew Mew that really gets like character effects outside of her transform form, where she'll get cat use when she's shy, and she'll get abilities to like jump like a cat and not die if she falls off something high. So she has cat-like behaviors outside of her Mew Mew form. She's also the most powerful Mew Mew, which makes sense. Main characters typically are the most powerful, especially in magical girl shows. She gets every single power-up, or not, I mean, yeah, most of the power-ups, because other girls technically do get power-ups, but like she gets most of them, like the finisher attacks. That's one drawback about this show, is that Ichigo gets way too many powers. I mean, that's typical with the magical girl show where the main character gets way too much, but then it just feels like really out of balance in this show, where it feels like nobody else gets to really achieve too much. I get that vibe in this show. But I like Ichigo. Ichigo's pretty nice. She's a little bit of a dry character because there's so many versions of her in other media. But I guess you could say that for all these characters in this plot. But like, she's like that, just like the main character that you put yourself into to relate to the story, or have a character to relate to in real life. Nothing wrong with that. That's just kind of how she is. So now we're gonna move on to our second character we get introduced to. Our next character is Minto Aizawa. She is our second Mew Mew. Her name is Mew Mint, and she derives from a bird. And the bird is called a lorikeet. I also forgot to mention that Minto's name means mint. Maybe that was obvious. It's kind of a cognate. A cognate is a word that sounds similar to another word in a language. Thank you, Spanish. Yeah, so Minto is very snobbish, and she's a rich girl. She's also rude, and she's a jerk to poor Ichigo, which is why I mentioned how like she kind of gets bullied a little bit. At least I think I said that, where Ichigo basically has to do all the work at the cafe. It's because Minto sits there and drinks tea. I like Minto. I like jerks. Anyways, I'm lying. I don't like jerks. So she also likes this girl called Sakura. She's another main character. I'm gonna talk about her later. But she's an idol, and Minto idolizes her. So that's a thing. Minto is very strict, and she also does ballet, which is very prevalent in her transformation. Her ballet stuff doesn't really get mentioned too much, but as the show goes on, it kind of feels like she opens up a bit. I like Minto. She's really cute. I also want to mention that Minto has an older brother that she loves, and has a dog. Those are just random facts. I'm just gonna say that on here, so I won't forget. So our next character is Retsu Midorikawa. Ooh, now. Smile pretty cute. Anyways, I don't know why those two girls have the same name. Maybe it's because of Midori. Ring. I don't know. Anyways, her name is Lettuce. She is Mew Lettuce, and she is the shy, quiet girl of the group. She basically gets bullied, and that's kind of how she becomes a Mew Mew, because Minto and Ichigo find her like at a pool, and she's like really upset because she's like constantly being used by her classmates, is constantly bullied, and they kind of like take her in because she kind of goes on a rage. But yeah, they take her, and she becomes a not villain thing. She is a whale. The specific whale that she is a finless porpoise. So she ends up getting upgrades as a mermaid later on with Mew Aqua. That's the thing. We also have Minto, which I forgot to mention. She also ends up using Mew Aqua. So I forgot to mention that. But I'm just gonna say that now. Add Minto in. So she's basically the quietest character in the show. Probably also one of the nicest characters in the show. For some reason she ends up getting a crush on Shirogane. Yeah. And then she ends up kissing him. He's the guy I mentioned earlier. But that's a whole nother can of worms that I just really don't like. He didn't even know about it. He was unconscious. I really don't like that. And he's a high schooler. And the 3 girls I'm talking about, that I just mentioned, the only ones I mentioned so far, they're all in 7th grade. Middle schoolers. That freaks me out. Ew. I don't like that. He doesn't know. And he doesn't reciprocate these feelings either, thank God. At least in the anime, he doesn't. I don't know about the manga. I haven't read it. Everything else about this character is good. I'm just not into the whole Shirogane thing. That's so weird. I don't know. Japan allows that mess. No, not us. No. So, our next character is the youngest character in the show. And her name is Bu-Ling Huang. Which translates to pudding. And her name is Mew Pudding. So she's really cute. I mean, she's crazy. She's super energetic. Her high-pitched voice, I guess it can be annoying. I guess. It doesn't bother me too much. I've heard way too many high voices in anime. But she's really energetic. And I don't know, she's still a kid. But, if you saw what her life was, behind the curtains, I don't know, it's just really interesting. So basically, Bu-Ling, her dad, I think he's doing some martial arts thing. Did I mention that Bu-Ling is Chinese? I should've. But she has to take care of her siblings, which there's a ton of siblings. And she's 8. And she has to take care of all of them. I don't even think that's legal in Japan, but you know what? It's a story. We don't have to think about that too much. But she has to take care of all of them, and she's super responsible. She takes them to daycare. She does all that stuff while she's still a kid. So it's crazy to me how energetic she is. I don't know, just having her backstory is just really touching. Yeah, whenever you just add her backstory. And she's also really nice. One of the villains, she ends up becoming friends with them, or at least tries to. It ends up happening. But yeah, Bu-Ling is really sweet. Yeah, I love Bu-Ling. I love the story. I think she's one of my favorite characters now that I think about it, because the moment her story was introduced, the whole backstory, it just really made her feel layered. I also want to mention that Bu-Ling is merged with a golden lion tamarin, a monkey. So our last Mew Mew is the oldest Mew Mew. She is in high school. Her name is Sakura Fujiwara. I mentioned her when I was talking about Minto. She is a model, actress thing. I think she's an actress from what I can remember. She is a celebrity, and she's in a lot of commercials, a lot of magazines. And basically, she's really famous, like I just said. She's really quiet. She's a lone wolf type. And for a while, she's kind of Mew-Mewing by herself because of the whole Shirogane thing. And she doesn't immediately team up with the rest of the girls. She's a lone wolf. It takes a bit of work to get her to join them. But I really like Sakura. She's really mature. I just like characters like her in general. Her attacks are cool. Her powers are very useful. She's really pretty. I love Sakura. Sakura, since she's the older character, she obviously takes the older role, and she's really mature with some of her decision making. Like, whenever a character is kind of in a troubling situation, she'll be like, well, maybe you should do this or something. She's that type of character. The character that everybody looks up to and is very reliable. She's also very caring, and she always does her job as she is a very responsible character. Sakura also means pomegranate, and she is merged with a gray wolf, making her Mew Pomegranate. Okay, so onto our main supporting characters. I'm gonna start off with Shirogane-ru. So Shirogane, his house basically burned down after his dad experimented with the Chimera anima, that's hard for me to pronounce, which is the main thing the villains use in the story. So he experiments on himself and becomes a cat. So nobody else has to do it. I mean, he ends up getting the Mew Mews, but like, still, a role he has to take. And he's basically the founder of this whole experiment. He does sciencey stuff. He's very important towards the plot, as he's the type of character that has a lot of sadness in his life. He doesn't really express it. Yeah. He also has powers, like I mentioned, to become a cat, and other powers that gives him like mobility and stuff like that. And we're gonna move on to the next character that is basically his helper, aka the pastry chef in this show. Okay, so now we have Keiichiro Akasaka. I'm butchering all of these names, butchering all of them. So, like I mentioned, he helps out Shirogane. He basically watched him. He got hired when Shirogane was a kid. Like, he's like 4 years older than Shirogane, I think. I don't know. Not 4 years, more than that. Because I'm pretty sure when he met Shirogane, he was 18. So he basically saw Shirogane throughout the whole house burning situation and wanted to help him out. He really didn't want Shirogane to experiment on himself. He also does the technology, computer stuff with the endangered animals in the environment. He helps find the Chimera animas and the villains throughout the show. He makes pastries at the Mew Mew cafe so they can disguise themselves. So he's like the second backbone of this whole operation. Yeah. He's also the oldest character, I guess, in this whole operation. On to our mascot, we have Masha, which is a robot cat pink thing. It is a guy, and I keep forgetting that Masha is a guy. He is basically partnered with Ichigo most of the time, or I guess he's with the whole group technically. But he basically alerts the girls when there's a Chimera anima around, and does little tasks to help the girls out. Masha doesn't do too much in my opinion. I kind of forget about Masha. Masha is useful, I guess. Okay, so now we're dealing with like a very important character to the plot. He is kind of a reincarnate of the villain, but not really. Kinda sorta. He has a part in him. It's Masayo Ayama, aka Ichigo's romantic interest or boyfriend. Honestly, he doesn't really have anything too interesting relating to his personality other than he's a nice person and he's the typical anime generic boy romantic interest. There's like he does what is it called? I can't remember what exactly the sport is called, but he's into sports. He basically becomes Blue Knight later on to protect Ichigo because he really doesn't want her getting hurt after finding out she is Mew Ichigo. And he joins the team later on after he gets discovered by one of the villains, the first villain in the show. Basically gets abandoned. He ends up becoming really important to the end of the story in Tokyo Mew Mew. Okay, so now we are moving on to the villains. So, like I mentioned, Chimera animas are what the villains produce. They basically use the environment, kind of like any other magical girl show, and form them. Or use people, or specific animals, in order to create Chimera animas. So, the first character that ends up coming down to Earth is quiche. It's a French dish. It has eggs, and you can put any other topping in it. It's kind of like a pie-ish thing. Let me explain that. So, and more food names. The villains are food names. I think I mentioned that already. So, he's an unredeemable character, if I'm going to be completely honest. He starts off the show by sexually harassing Ichigo and literally kisses her. And then he proceeds to harass her throughout the show, really making you not like him. And Ichigo is like scared of him and has like no interest in him at all. I feel so bad for her because he's literally terrible. But then the show redeems him, ? I really don't think he deserves a redemption arc. Like, his butt should have died. But he initiates the whole Blue Knight thing and starts the show. He gets kicked out from his group. Yeah, for kind of sucking. So yeah, he gets kicked out. And his other teammates have to like just do their job the rest of the time. So the next villains, I would much rather group them. So we have Pie and Tart. Tart is the younger villain. He is the same age as Bu-Ling, and he's the one that ends up forming a friendship with her. Later on, he is very bratty, and yeah, he's a villain. Their personalities aren't very defined in my opinion. Yeah, but Tart does end up getting a redemption arc too. All the villains do. Then we also have Pie. He's the oldest one. I think he's like in his 30s or 20s, mid-20s at youngest. He is the most committed to his job and his orders. He lasted the longest throughout the, like, at the end of the show, he lasted the longest. He still, like, followed the orders of Deep Blue, the main villain. I'm gonna talk about it. Yeah, so, yeah, he's really down with his duties. He does eventually stop and help the Mew Mews, like all the villains do, every single one, except for Deep Blue. So, like I've been mentioning, Deep Blue is our main villain. Deep Blue is basically evil. Most of the time, he's in this state of watery thing. Yeah. So he comes back after, like, an unpreventable event that Shirogane tries to stop, but it's just not preventable from all the energy coming down from the earth and stuff. So he comes out of Ayama-kun, and which is kind of why he has his Blue Knight form, kind of, sorta. So he uses Ayama's body as a way to torment the girls and destroy the earth, essentially. Ichigo has to, like, stop him because all the other girls are kind of put out of commission after a while because there's just, like, a really long fight. So he ends up getting kicked out of Ayama's body and dies, which is for the better because he was really doing a lot. He's okay. He's just a typical villain that just sits there. A lot of the stuff in Tokyo Mew Mew is stuff I've seen before, but I think it's probably because maybe other shows ended up taking inspiration later on, or that's just like a common magical girl theme where there's just like, I don't know, where a lot of the characters are basically based off of regular tropes. Nothing wrong with that. It's just like really common. But the one thing I will say that I really like about Tokyo Mew Mew is the use of endangered animals and the use of, like, bringing awareness into the environment. So I really wanted to see what that bunny girl was about, but turns out the bunny girl in Tokyo Mew Mew is in the manga. So I'm gonna have to read the manga if I'm gonna learn about her. Yeah, so her name is Bee Berry. I have no clue what her character is about, but I want to read the manga at some point and figure that out. So my overall experience with Tokyo Mew Mew is that it was an okay anime. I just kind of wish there was, like, more development towards the characters sometimes, because the characters are very surface level basic a lot of times. I think it's because it was, like, really, it's a kid's show, which I'm not saying kid shows are, like, an excuse to make a plot not good, but then they just really wanted to aim on that, so they made it simple. I love the art. I mentioned how I mentioned earlier, I love the art style. I think the outfits are still really pretty. I have not watched the new Tokyo Mew Mew. Maybe when I do watch it, I'll make a review about it, using one of these Speedpaints. So, the art I am doing in this video is a draw this in your art style of Neko Rina's character. It was done months ago. I love Neko Rina. You should go subscribe to her YouTube channel, follow her Instagram, follow her Twitter. Neko Rina is straight up making moves. Like, on God, I love Neko Rina. Yeah, but this art piece was really fun to make. I had to add a bunch of shading at the end to make it look really, really good. I really wanted this drawing to look super good. It looked like a sniggity snack. Okay, I'm being weird. But the background is super pretty. I really like the background. I really like how it turned out. It's super bright. The drawing is super sunny. The only thing I forgot to do was on that one foot, the furthest foot, I totally forgot to add like little wavy effects underwater for it. But that's okay. It doesn't really bother me way too much. The background could be a little itty bit better, but I think it still came out decent. I hope you guys like the drawing too. You guys should go follow Neko Rina. So, I also hope you enjoy this video. I know it's not my usual pretty cure video, as I'm making a whole video on Tokyo Mew Mew, but I have a bunch of speed paints I want to do and a bunch of animes I watch. And I have loads of videos just chilling in my videos folder, and my computer is getting fuller by the day. So, I kind of need to empty it out, by making videos, and it's a tactic that works, and it's a tactic that is fun and is worth my time. So, follow my Instagram, follow my Twitter, follow my Reddit, that's Crazy Derp Girl, by the way. Follow my DeviantArt, that should also be Crazy Derp Girl, or might be Kawaii Kitties, I have no clue. I'll link down my Instagram and Twitter, because I always remember to link those down. I'll try to link down my Reddit and my, DeviantArt. Yeah, check out my art. My commissions are open. So commission me if you want some art. I have a price sheet on my Instagram page or my DeviantArt. It's like more accessible to find on there. DM me on whatever platform you want. I will answer. And I will do a commission happily for you. There's guidelines and stuff because I have guidelines. I've drawn some. I mean, I haven't drawn, but like I've seen some sus stuff sent to me, like I don't know, from art requests, and I want some commissions too. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.